Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Okay, today we're going to talk about this. Yeah, that's it. That's my little T-square for my little 6-inch rulers. I have like 4 of them around the shop at different locations. They're all pretty much the same, surprisingly. One's a Central brand, 2 of them are eye gauging, and this one's a Lee Valley. And Lee Valley is a lot thicker than the others. I think this one used to be a combination square from Lee Valley. So I got it in a potpourri of stuff in a box or in a drawer or something. And it's just they're always handy to have these rulers around. Like I said, I got them setting everywhere. Well, every now and then, it's nice to be able to set a depth or use it as a square. It's really handy to have it. And that's what this does for you. First off, let's go over the dimensions of this. It's just a piece of scrap mahogany I had. And this is a knurled knob, and that's a 4mm bolt. And I'll go over everything as we go along here. So the dimensions is about 4 inches long, and that's up to you. That's not critical. Now I did make this measurement right through this way is exactly 1 inch. Now that one you want to get to 1 inch, if I would recommend, and I'll show you why as we show you how it works. And this way it's about 3/4 of an inch. But again, that's not as important as this 1 inch measurement. That's what's important. That is because when I take a ruler, whichever one I use, and I put it in the slot, if I set this to a particular setting, let's say at 3 inches, now you can also use it as a square if you square it when you set it in there. So now that I have the diameter, I have the dimension set, I'm going to put the 3-finger pull on it. And that's where I put one on my thumb or on my palm of my hand, and 2 fingers, one on each side of the ruler like that. And the reason is that I'm going to take these 2 fingers and pull down to the thumb slightly. Doesn't take much pressure at all. And I loosen it up while not moving anything other than that gentle pull, then tighten it down good and snug. And again, you don't have to tighten it very hard, and I'll go over that in a second. But now, this is not only set to the dimension I want, but it's also set to the, it's also set to be perfectly square. So if I check it with a square now, at this point, it's going to be, it's going to be perfectly square. As long as I do the 3-finger pull and then snug it down again, loosen it and snug it down, that'll always square up because it squares the ruler up to either this edge here or that edge there. So making this slot in here is what's critical. So how it's made. It's just 2 pieces of mahogany actually to come together. And the bottom half, I cut the groove in it for just the exact width of my rulers. And then I put a piece of leather in the bottom and glued it in so that when this is setting on here and I tighten the set screw down, it's going to push against that leather, and that gives you a little better holding power than if it was holding against bare wood. So I get it much stronger with very little pressure from the set screw. It doesn't take much to set this thing and not have it move at all. So the leather is a good idea in there when you do it. The other thing is that the set screw itself is basically, it's a knurled knob I just found in my junk drawer. You can make your own knob. It doesn't have to use this. But this one I used a 4mm bolt, and the head of the bolt's here, and I just screwed it in. So what I did is on the top half, to make this set screw, I drilled a hole through it, the 4mm size, and then I took and drilled a small hole bigger than the diameter of the head. Well, actually, it's just exactly the size of a nut, a 4mm nut. And the reason I did that is that I recessed that down into the upper part of the wood, so that is the threads that this thing actually works on. Then I screwed the bolt in from the bottom side into that nut, and I put that all in here. And then I put this knurled nut on it with a little crazy glue, CA glue, so that now when I turn this, it's turning that head of the bolt and it's driving that ruler against the leather. So quick and easy, simple. And like I say, it fits any of my rulers that I want. And then when I get it semi-snug, if I want to snug it square, then I can just do the quick 3-finger thing. And now I know that is square. But the guy in the back, he says that, sure it is. It is. Perfectly square. So it comes out square every time. I don't really have to check it now that I've got this fixed. So it's critical that this line here, this groove, is the only thing that you want to make sure you get dead on for the width, and make sure it's parallel to this, or excuse me, perpendicular to this surface here, so that when you do set this, it will come out square every time. And because it's sitting on the leather with the tightening the screw, this thing pretty much will stay put. So now I can use it as a square or as a depth gauge. Handy little extra on here. I could have done something fancier, but what I like about this is because of the dimension, this 1-inch dimension, if I set this to a particular size, but my measurement can measure from here, or I can do it from here by adding 1 extra inch. So if I'm trying to measure an edge this way, then from here to here is what I would be looking for. But if I have a piece that I want to go to the inside, I can set it this way. And now I know that this measurement from here to here, I know exactly what that is by my ruler. The other thing nice about this, and this being perfectly squared up and everything, as opposed to a 45 shape or anything like that, I don't really need the 45. But not only that, because this ruler, all these little rulers all have 4 scales on them. And I can put this on here, and it doesn't matter which way I put it on, I can read from any one of those 4 squares. If I want to read from, this one's not that. This one has only 2. Why is this one different? Oh, I see. Okay. But you can take the ruler. Sorry, I got distracted. You can take this ruler. Let me go with this one. And no matter which scale I want to use, right now the 1 inch is over here, and the 1 inch for this side is down here. So I can turn it this way and use this scale, turn it this way and use this scale, or turn it over, use this scale, there's the 1 inch, or flip it around, and there's the 1 inch for this scale, for this one. So I can turn this any direction I want, so I can instantly use any of those scales that are on this ruler too, which is kind of nice. And because it's a nice crisp edge where that's going in, I made sure that was nice and clean, so that when I want to set this, even if I'm using the 64th, I can stick this under a magnifying glass and take it and set this even to the 64th of an inch then. And once it's set, it's locked down, and then I can actually use it, and it's set to the 64th of an inch. So now with this, I can set it much more accurately than I can with this thing. So I'm optimistic this is going to work real well. And like I said, it works on any of my little small rulers that I happen to have around here, which is kind of strange because if I look at this 6-inch ruler, this is an Irwin brand. And this ruler is actually wider than the other 4 rulers I have around here. This is 7/8 of an inch wide instead of 3/4. So why this one's different, I don't know, but I can't use this one to here. But you may have to make this only if you have only one, or if they're all different, you may have to make different ones specific to one in particular. I just happen to have all my little 6-inch rulers all seem to have the same dimensions, so I can actually use this on any of them. Probably it'll be on this one only, and I'll look for this one if I need it. But this is great because even as a little T-square, if I want to level this up on the end, I can just set it down on there, loosen it up, make sure everything is nice and flat against the surface, snug it down, and it'll still be nice and square when I set it up. So it's easy to set it to perfectly square without any problem. And once I've set it up, once you use this a little bit, you'll learn how easy it is, and you'll have the confidence that it's set to square every time once you set this. Most of the time, it'll probably set like that. And if I need to, I can just as easily take it out and use this alone if I want. So, nice little add-on accessory. Anyway, I don't know what you think about it. I think I've rambled on enough. But that's how it works. I think I'm going to really like it. And if I like it as much as I think I will, and it makes it so easy to set this to an exact measurement now on any of my scales, that's what makes this thing really work nicely. Eventually, if I like that, I may go ahead and make something like that for my OTB ruler too, that I can set on here so I have it for my 12-inch ruler. But we'll see. Let me know what you think. If you have any comments, any observation, any ideas, suggestions, let me know. If you like this video, you learned something here, hit that like button. It lets me know that I'm still coming up with some weird ideas that you like. So, most importantly though, please come back again because we're nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.